Hey, I'm Casey Okupi with Free Speech Northwest. Today, I'm going to do an I Judge You about Don Lemon's personal vendetta against Kanye. It's stupid, childish, weird. It's like he wishes he was rich and famous in that way or something. I don't know. I don't know what it's all about, but it's pretty blatantly obvious. So I'm gonna judge him on it right now. Let's go ahead and roll, please.
Kanye West sparking a lot of outrage tonight with his unhinged comments about slavery. I want to bring in now Republican strategist Michael Singleton, CNN political commentator Mark Lamont Hill, and writer and journalist Kieran Mayo. He made these stunning comments about slavery.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know, like, it's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race. That we're the human race.
Kieran, slavery for 400 years is a choice. What's your reaction?
It's, again, unfortunate. You know, we're all worried about Kanye, but at this point, we're all also angry and offended and hurt. And he's also factually incorrect, right?
Can we pause it for a minute? So she's offended and she's worried. She's sad and worried about Kanye. So basically they're mocking him, saying he has mental illness. He is talking about 400 years as a choice or whatever. What he's kind of talking about is like the numbers when slavery, well, let's say, for example, the Holocaust or something. You know, you have these camps and there's hundreds and hundreds of Jewish people at one of these concentration camps or something, and then for every, I don't know, 10 or 20 of them, then there's like one guard, and he's saying that there must have been some form of mental manipulation, like murder, for example, but a mental manipulation that causes people not to rebel up and against, or if they do rebel and try to fight against, you know, the first person to speak out or whatever is probably killed, and then that obviously mentally puts everyone else in a state of let's not even try this. And when in fact, the fact is, numerically, like the numbers, there were, they'd have the capacity to potentially overthrow, is what I'm assuming, you know. That's what I'm assuming Kanye's talking about. He elaborates in this. But right off the bat, she's kind of condescending. I mean, when it comes to the case of Kanye, we know that he's checked into a mental health facility or something because he was stressed out or whatever was upsetting him. So now that gives everyone this green light to be instantly condescending right off the bat. Like, he couldn't actually have these thoughts. He's not intelligent enough. He's crazy. He can't have his own thoughts. And so she's condescending down to him. Let's keep going, please.
Slave rebellions, armed slave rebellions, have happened in every slaveholding state in this country. We have resisted slavery for as long as we've been here. His association with slavery is so just uninformed. And I think the problem with Kanye today is that he's taken for granted that his lack of information, it can pass for opinion in a public sphere.
Okay, can we pause it? So she's talking about his lack of information. I'm not sure how much data she has on how much research Kanye's actually done. He's probably done some research. He's probably not just saying things, and she's saying his lack of information. She's assuming everything. She's assuming he has a lack of information. I don't think he does. He speaks very passionately about these issues. I think he's done some research. He's taken that data. He's formulated his own thoughts. And when his thoughts go against her narrative and CNN and them, those people, when his thoughts go against their narrative, they're like, That's not what we say. He must not have any information, and he's not informed. She doesn't know if he is or not. So she doesn't. All right, let's continue.
For his young black fans and followers, I'm worried for them because I'm not sure that they can make the distinction between where he's going and the truth.
Well, and that's why we're covering it so much, because in my estimation, this is dangerous. And again, as I've said all along, and you said Kanye can say whatever he wants. He can believe whatever he wants, but he should understand the power of his platform. He has to be responsible, as Van said today, and he has to know his facts before he thinks, Mark, that this is a new conversation.
Right.
That he's having, because he just discovered it.
He just discovered some information, and I want him to discover information. I also want him to discover books.
Yes.
And I want him to read
Okay,
those
can we
books
pause it for a
and
minute?
read that.
He didn't just discover information. He didn't just discover that there were slaves. They're being condescending, and I'm calling them out. So, you people are condescending, and you should be ashamed of yourself for being so condescending. He's not that stupid. He doesn't think slavery is a new concept, and he's just voicing it. That's dumb. Let's continue, please.
Information before he offers a public opinion. But in the Kanye West universe, at least right now, whatever he thinks is the most important thing, facts be damned. And that's something that's super dangerous. In many ways, he is like Trump. I mean, I think he's wrestling with some stuff. But
I was just going to say, who's that?
I see why he likes Donald Trump. And that's
He says why he likes it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rich, successful white man who does whatever he wants under any circumstances. He doesn't need facts. He doesn't need anything else.
He doesn't read.
And he just says what he thinks, and he doesn't read. I mean, I see why he likes Donald Trump.
But the thing is that he...
Can we pause this for a minute? Don Lemon. He's so exhausted at this concept. So Kanye's big message is free thought, think for yourself, do your own research, form your own opinions. Don't just latch on to what everyone else's opinions are. And they're talking about why he loves Donald Trump. Probably because Donald Trump goes against the grain, goes against the narrative. That's a representation in itself of free thought. But these condescending people, they have not invited Kanye on an episode, probably to try to tear him apart, but they're not inviting him on, they're not talking to him. I'll bet he would go on and he would face these people who are so mean and rude and condescending and just, it's ridiculous. But yeah, they're afraid that he'll say things, they won't be able to counter him. They're afraid of him. So they're afraid of Kanye. Please continue.
He talks about he doesn't even know his history of Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So he just hasn't read about Donald Trump as well, because then maybe he would not be saying these things.
But he also, let's not extract
Can we pause
Kanye
this for
from
a minute?
hip-hop and like the origin.
Please. Donald Trump has actually won awards for helping the African American communities and things. So they're talking about the history of Donald Trump. They keep saying, he doesn't know. He doesn't read. They're saying all these things about Kanye. They don't know. They're trying to manipulate you. That's what they're trying to do. They're using their voice to say, you need to think this about Kanye. You do. You need to think it. You need to think Kanye's crazy because he's been to one of these facilities. So let's keep bringing up that he's nuts. Couldn't it be he was kind of stressed, so he sought some help? I don't know. But they keep saying he hasn't read anything. They're telling you that. They're telling you that Kanye didn't read anything. You haven't asked Kanye. They haven't asked Kanye. They're being condescending, and they're trying to control you. They're trying to control your brain with their words. Just an FYI. So let's please continue.
Around his generation in hip-hop, he was up against half of an MC nation that was naming themselves after white men, right, who were supposed to be self-made, who were supposed to be a la Trump in this very kind of flashy, screw you, I do me kind of ilk. And so there is an attraction to, I think, what he associates with braggadocio and bravery and radical free thought. However, you're wearing a MAGA hat as though that's not sheepish.
Right, we ain't do that, though. We ain't do that part. We still say F the police. we still
Absolutely.
said my president is black.
Absolutely. And
You
so
know,
did
from
he. And
pe-
so did he.
And that's why.
And so did he.
And that's what I'm worried
So,
about.
Shermichael, Kanye tweeted just a few hours ago. He tried to clarify this, right? So I'm going to put these words up. He said, "To make myself clear, of course I know that slaves did not get shackled and put on a boat by free will. My point is for us to have stayed in that position, even though the numbers were on our side, means that we were mentally enslaved. The reason why I brought up the 400 years point is because we can't be mentally imprisoned for another 400 years. We need free thought now. Even the statement was an example of free thought. It was just an idea." So he's backtracking, but does that make sense?
Can we pause
No,
this?
it doesn't, Don. I mean, look, I think even a cursor.
That makes sense. He is not backtracking, he's elaborating. So they're telling you he's backtracking. He's not backtracking. He's elaborating because everyone got all super offended when he's literally saying that for us to have been, like, not me, but for him to, you know, African Americans to have been slaves for 400 years, there was mental manipulation. And it was murder. It was pain, torture, things like that. That's a huge mental manipulation. During the times of slavery and the Holocaust and all those things, as I mentioned before, previously, as soon as you were somebody who would make waves, try to talk about an uprising, try to rebel against, you were instantly destroyed. You know, you were killed or tortured or publicly, and that was done publicly so that you'd have that mental enslavement. You know, let's say that there were at some time people shackled together, and then when one of them would step out of line, they were put back in line. So these people, Kanye is speaking up. He's saying be a free thinker. He's stepping out of line. What are they doing? They're trying to destroy him. They're trying to put him back in line. These people. So let's keep going, please.
Understanding of slavery and the history of slave people or enslavement would have better positioned him to make a more accurate and historically factual statement. He did not. The premise of his statement, or of his tweets rather, that he is a free thinker is somewhat absurd to me. And intellectually speaking, I would advise Kanye to pick up a book written by Immanuel Kant back in the 1700s, The Critique of Pure Reason. Perhaps that would better prepare him with the necessary tools to be able to truly be a free thinker, because what he said is not a free thinker. There's nothing genius about it. It's blatant ignorance, and it's embarrassing. And for all the young people who have invested in him, who go out and buy his sneakers, who buy his albums, what do you say to those individuals? It's because of them he is where he is at currently. Yeah. He owes those folks an explanation.
Can we pause this for a minute? Please. So I keep pausing it. They're basically saying, they're saying he's stupid, and then they're saying that he's doing bad things to you. Like, let's say you buy Kanye CDs. He's doing bad things to you is what they're saying. And they're saying he's not a free thinker. Why is he not a free thinker? Why? Because he doesn't agree and say exactly what we say. How ironic is that? That's the epitome of trying to not allow people to think freely. They're saying he's not a free thinker because he's not saying exactly what we're saying. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's crazy. So let's keep going, please.
Yes. So listen, and we have you here. You're a black conservative. Again, this is not about politics, although people are trying to frame it that way.
Well, Don, it's not. It's like the difference. Yes, I am a black conservative, but I can tell you that the reason why I'm a conservative, right? I can explain the epistemological definition of conservatism versus liberalism. Right. I have spent time reading books by Edmund Burke and John Locke and Michael Oakeshott and Robert Nozick, who all have their own issues, as Mark Lamont Hill can factually state. But with that stated, my belief system is grounded upon an intellectual exploration of something. Kanye's is not. There's a distinct difference between the two.
Sorry, this will be... Oh, man. They're saying that he hasn't read anything, he doesn't know anything. How do they know? They won't have him on the show. So this is enough of this video. Like... Kanye, the worst thing that Kanye West is doing is going, you be a free thinker. You trust you. trust your research and form your opinions. They don't have him on their show. Like, see, there's 4 people there. Which one's Kanye? None of them. No, he's not on the show. They're not talking to him. They're not saying, hey, what have you read to formulate this view? They just say that he's wrong. They say he's stupid, and they say he's crazy because he's not saying exactly what they're saying. They're saying, free thought. You're not saying what we're saying. You're crazy. I don't know. I have to agree with Kanye on this. And I judge them for being mean and stupid. And also just the irony of really just telling Kanye how horrible and messed up and wrong he is when he's saying to depend on your own mind and have your own thoughts. And they're saying he's wrong and crazy. And I don't know. I took Kanye's logic, his explanation, and I personally, I can see his point. All right, we listen to these guests, these panelists. They're talking about, this is what I read. I have a degree. This is the things that I'm reading that make me more intelligent than you. So you need to listen to me. Kanye didn't read these books. That's what makes him stupid. Maybe he did read them. Maybe he didn't. But I don't know. Maybe they're controlled by the same sort of media agenda. I mean, these guys are on television. They're talking to you. Maybe everyone, there's bias, okay? So, yeah, it all depends on what you watch. Watch everything, and you don't have to necessarily trust these people. I don't trust them. I don't agree with them. And I don't think Kanye's wrong. I agree with him. I think he's an intelligent guy. I don't know, he might be a little frazzled sometimes, a little passionate. You know, they'll say he's crazy, he's nuts, that it's like gibberish or something. But you know what I mean? If you go and give it another word, it's passion. He's intense. So, I don't know. We can call it whatever and try to manipulate anyone's brain, I guess. Listen to him and think about what he says and figure out what you feel. I think that's important. Free thought. Yeah, I like it. All right, here's part 2 of the Kanye attack with gray-haired dude. Now, I don't remember this guy's name. Anyway, this proves the point that CNN's out to get him. Don Lemon's out to get him. So let's go ahead, please.
The West Wing drama that played out today when Kanye West met with the president in the Oval Office. I want to play a clip. Don Lemon is with us and get your thoughts. Here's some of the stuff that Kanye West and the president said. Listen to this.
If he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America. I don't answer questions in simple sound bites. You are tasting a fine wine. It has multiple notes to it. The liberal will try to control a black person through the concept of racism because they know that we are very proud, emotional people. So when I said I like Trump to like someone that's liberal, they'll say, oh, but he's racist. You think racism can control me? Oh, that don't stop me. That's an invisible wall. Would you build a trap door that if you mess up and you accidentally something happens, you fall and you end up next to the Unabomber? Let me give this guy a hug right here. I love this guy right here. Yeah. Amen. Yes.
He did most of the talking in the Oval Office. Don, what did you think?
All right, can we pause it for a minute? They put a bunch of sound bites together to try to make him seem overly dramatic right off the bat. I mean, they edited that, put that on there to make him seem overly dramatic. The way they edited it and everything, I didn't hear a lot of crazy. First off, I mean, he was like, ugh, Kanye, oh, how dumb. No, I didn't even, with their editing, I didn't even hear anything that bad. He said you need to support your president. You need to make him look good. He needs to help us bring jobs to the country. And that doesn't sound like crazy talk, because if somebody else was in office who the people who have this agenda, if their person was in office, they'd be saying the same thing. Kanye's intense. Kanye's passionate. He's a performer. He has made his living and life getting attention from people and giving them art. So he's trying to be passionate and artistic for everyone because that's how he sees that people are going to hear him. It doesn't make him someone who's lying or nuts. It doesn't. So let's hear what condescending Don Lemon has to say about how crazy and stupid he is now.
I have no animosity for Kanye West.
Can we pause
I'm just
it?
going to be honest, and I may get in a lot of
When someone says, I have no animosity towards right off the bat, it means they have animosity towards them. Okay, let's go.
trouble for it. I actually feel bad for him. What I saw was a minstrel show today.
All right,
Him in
can we
front
pause
of
it?
all of these white.
Okay, if it would have been somebody else, he wouldn't have said a minstrel show. It's racist. I think that's a racist thing to say. I think that he's saying that since Kanye is black and Kanye thinks these things, it's a minstrel show. If Kanye wasn't black and thought those things, he wouldn't say that it was a minstrel show. Maybe he'd say that it's stupid and crazy, but, well, I don't think it's stupid and crazy in the first place, but he's calling it a minstrel show. That's racist to do that.
White people, mostly white people, and embarrassing Americans, but mostly African Americans, because every one of them is sitting either at home or with their phones watching this, cringing. I couldn't even watch it. I had to turn the television off because it was so hard to watch. Him sitting there being used by the President of the United States, the President of the United States exploiting him, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, exploiting someone who needs help, who needs to back away from the cameras, who needs to get off stage, who needs to deal with his issues.
Don Lemon has no right to tell anyone that they need to back away from the camera, even if they're crazy. In fact, all of you out there, get in front of the camera because we need more voices that are different than Don Lemon's. But he has no right to speak for everyone because African Americans, I've heard from African Americans, are not a monolith. You know, they have different thoughts, they have different feelings, they don't all feel the same thing, they don't all believe the same thing. It's kind of normal, it's a humanity thing, it's a human thing. We don't all think the same thing. Some of us support some things and don't other things. So when he's saying that he's being used, he's being manipulated, no, he's passionate, he's making choices. So Don Lemon's just extremely condescending and terrible. Don Lemon just said, I couldn't watch this to the end. I had to turn my TV off. Well, if you've ever read a cool book, like, I don't know, whatever kind of book, sometimes the end wraps it up, brings it together, takes all these loose pieces, puts them all together in a nice package, and ties up all the loose ends. He didn't watch to the end. What kind of critic is that? Every liberal or progressive or Democrat that I've spoken to hasn't ever finished a Trump speech from the beginning to the end. They've never watched it all the way through, unedited. It's always cut up into sound bites and put on some network to mock. It's always cut up and manipulated. They've never watched a full speech from beginning to end. That's like the same thing that's going on here. If you want to know who people are, what they are, how they think, what they're about, watch the whole thing from the beginning to the end. That's what you got to do. So, all right, let's keep going.
And if anyone around him cares about him, the family that he mentioned today, or whomever, his managers, maybe some other people who are in the music business who know him, they need to grab him and snatch him up and get Kanye together because Kanye needs help. And this has nothing to do with being liberal or conservative. This is to do with honesty. And we have to stop pretending, sitting here on these CNN panels or on whatever network panels, and pretending like this is normal. And let's have this conversation about Kanye West and what he said. Who cares? Why are you sending cameras to the Oval Office for Kanye West? Did you send cameras to the Oval Office and carry it live when Common visited the White House? Common visited the White House and did a beautiful poem, spoken word. It talked about how black people are kings and queens, how we need to rise up and do better. He didn't disparage anybody. He didn't speak in non sequiturs. He didn't do anything awful. And you know, the only people who criticized him and the only people who really covered it were Sean Hannity and his band of hypocrites who are now applauding Kanye West, the same people that many in that group called the N-word because of Taylor Swift and because of George Bush. And now all of a sudden...
Well, I don't believe they called Kanye the N-word at all. I think that that's a dirty lie. Now, basically, do you hear the fire and the passion in Don's voice? Don Lemon, he just really wants to shut Kanye up really bad. Do you hear his passion? He's like, we need to stop talking and thinking and shut up Kanye. We need to shut him up. Why would he need to shut him up? Why? What's Kanye gonna say? It all goes against Don Lemon's narrative. I mean, that's, you know, basically why Don's so upset. He's saying we need to shut him up. He's not saying what I say. He's saying like the opposite. He's saying a lot of the opposite. He's helping people, basically. And yeah, he doesn't say the same thing. And that's one of the reasons why TV networks actually recorded it, filmed it, and everything. Ratings, you know? Kanye's going to say something new, interesting, surprising, different. So, of course, networks are going to watch it, you know? I'm not saying Kanye's right about everything or he's a genius or any of this stuff. I haven't checked into Kanye that much. It just really interests me, Don Lemon's just massive problem with him. His obsession of anti-Kanye. It's crazy. Can we keep listening to Don try to tear him apart?
He is the person who represents the African-American community. He doesn't. We need to take the cameras away from Kanye and from a lot of this craziness that happens in the White House because it is not normal, and we need to stop sitting here pretending that it's normal. This was an embarrassment. Kanye's mother is rolling over in her grave.
Okay, can we hold on? Don, you don't talk about people's mama like that. That's messed up. Really messed up, Don. Yeah, he's super passionate. He's like, we need to take and rip the cameras away from Kanye and shut him up. And then he's going to his mama, like, yeah, okay, that's probably trying to get Kanye to react. Don Lemon is actually talking about Kanye's mom. That's pretty evil. It's just literally evil. Let's keep going, please.
One of her friends today, or texted with one of her friends today from Chicago, Donda's friends. I used to live there. I know him. She said Donda would be embarrassed by this. She would be terribly disturbed by this. And Kanye has not been the same since his mother died. He kept talking today about, I put the hat on and the hat made me feel strong and wearing a cape. He needs a father figure. He needs someone to help him and to guide him. And he needs a hug more than anything. Kanye, back away from the cameras. Go get some help, and then come back and make your case. If you want to be conservative, if you want to support Donald Trump, that is your business. But as you're doing it, have some sense with it. Make sense. Educate yourself.
Can we pause it? I think like everything Don Lemon says is mean, rude, and crazy, personally. I think it's all crazy, wrong. So I guess I have no sense, which is, that's fine. I'm nuts. But yeah, I don't think it gets much worse than a guy who's talking about somebody's mom, like so aggressively. It's evil. When you talk about someone's mom in the way Don is, that's evil. He's really trying to get him, like just with this evil passion, just get him. And we need to acknowledge that, I think. Personally, I am. Obviously, I'm doing it right now. But you should think about that. What if someone talked dirty and mean and horrible about your mom and how you started acting weird when she died? It's Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe he did act different. His mom died. You know, maybe you start questioning like life and start researching things. You know what I mean? You start looking into things and realizing some things in life that you learned or thought were a sham, because you start questioning mortality. So you do more research or whatever. Of course, you're not going to act the same after your mom dies. That's devastating. You know, maybe that's why he at some point might have got help or something. He was stressed out and upset his mom died. That doesn't make anyone crazy. So anyway, Don's mean, bad, and evil. The mom thing, terrible. Unlike what Don Lemon is saying, if you feel like you ever need to seek help, I encourage you to do that. It's a good thing. So Don Lemon is making people, Kanye, feel bad and stupid and horrible for seeking help. I encourage you to seek help if you'd like to, if you feel stressed out. It's a good thing to do that. It's good. Don Lemon is expressing that it's crazy, and if you ever seek help, you're still crazy. He's shaming it. He's making it a bad thing. Seeking help is a good thing, and it's good to do. I encourage you to do it if you feel you need help, or if it seems that you need help. It's not a bad thing, and if you do that, I'm not going to call you crazy afterwards. Don Lemon. Can we keep going, please?
Don, we just played a 1-minute clip of that exchange, but it really went on for more than half an hour if you watch the whole thing.
Talking about hydrogen, the last time we really talked about hydrogen, seriously, you remember that? The Hindenburg. So Kanye, come on, man. Like, stop embarrassing yourself. And it's not even that. We're doing it because everyone wants to watch him. We're watching someone's demise in front of our eyes. And the president as well.
We're not watching someone's demise at all. We're not watching someone's demise. We're watching someone try to kill Kanye. That's what we're watching, like right now. We're watching Don Lemon try to kill Kanye. Maybe metaphorically, you know what I mean? Like kill his career, kill your perception of him. We're not watching his demise unless everyone buys into Don Lemon. Then we're watching his demise. Unless we buy into Don Lemon, he isn't going to be demised at all. You know, that's basically what we're seeing. Now, Don Lemon made fun of Kanye for talking about, what was it, hydrogen or something? You know, electricity was crazy, and it was burning houses down before we perfected it. Science is like always advancing constantly. That's a thing. So for him to act like anything in science, any suggestions are crazy, they're not. You can try them and try new advancements and try changes and things. Some things are also shut down. Like some people shut down advancements and things, and they take the patents and they hide them and they do things like that. So revisiting concepts, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad idea. So let's keep going, please.
The office is sacred. Can you imagine if President Barack Obama had Kanye West or any rapper or any person, entertainer in the Oval Office who said MF? Can you imagine?
Can I pause it for a minute? Well, let me see. Obama had, you know, musicians who used that terminology in their music, but creepy Uncle Joe Biden, he said MF. So Joe Biden actually has cursed and said the F word. Google it, YouTube it, whatever. Crazy Uncle Joe, creepy Uncle Joe has did that. So Joe Biden, yeah, Vice President for Obama. This is the third video I have of Don Lemon giving Kanye a really hard time. And it's a good thing Kanye exists for Don Lemon's career. Because if there was no Kanye, I don't even know if there'd be a Don Lemon. He would have nothing to do. So let's continue, please.
Kanye. What do you say about Kanye?
Can we pause it? That's crazy smug. That's creepy. Do you see his Kanye, Kanye, Kanye. What can you say about Kanye? God, that's smug. All right, let's keep going.
A lot. Today, he says he wants to end the rift between Colin Kaepernick and President Trump by setting up a meeting. Yesterday, while wearing a red Trump hat, he tweets he wants to abolish the 13th Amendment. You know, the one that ended slavery. That was after changing his name early Saturday to, I don't know if it's Ye or Ye, it's Y-E, I don't know what it is. And later that same night, giving several bizarre performances on Saturday Night Live. One where he ranted about Trump and slavery and the media and plantations, to name a few. Chris Rock was in the audience. He recorded it and posted it on social media. A lot of people did.
There's so many times I talk to like a white person about this and they say, how could you like Trump? He's racist. Well, if I was concerned about racism, I would have moved out of America a long time ago. You see, they laughing at me. You heard them, they scream at me. They bully me. They bullied me backstage. They said, don't go out there with that hat on. They bullied me backstage. I think the universe has balance. 90% of news are liberal. I felt kind of free. I thought this country said I could be me.
Okay, so it was very uncomfortable.
Can we pause
The
it
host was
for a minute? Don doesn't stop being condescending. But I believe that. I think that Kanye probably was bullied backstage. And it said that he talks about the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery and everything, and he said we should get rid of that amendment. You know, because I think they mentioned that part of it had to do with the fact that no free man can, you know, nobody is going to be a slave anymore, but prisoners, people in prison, can still be forced to work. You know, I think that's bold. I think that no one in the United States would ever allow slavery to happen again. No one would be okay with it. So I think it should be abolished. I think Kanye's actually right. We should get rid of that. And we're not going to have slavery happen. No one would tolerate it. I wouldn't tolerate it. You wouldn't. So I think that's actually a bold, good idea personally. But let's listen to a little bit more of the condescension from Don.
was Adam Driver. He left the stage. You could see the cast members some of them were like, just had their heads down. They don't let you leave the show until it's over, and that's 1 a.m. Eastern. This went on after the show, and people wanted to get up, including us, because we didn't want to listen to that bullshit, and they wouldn't let us out. So Van Jones, Nina Turner, Alice Stewart, and Steve Cortez are all here. Thank you so much for joining us. Van, I was in the audience at SNL. The worst of it happened after the credits rolled. The cast was uncomfortable, as well as the audience. Van, was this a publicity stunt?
You know, it's hard to know. I don't necessarily think so. I think that, and I just talked to Kim Kardashian earlier today, I think that he is trying to take a stand in his own mind for independence of thought. I think that he fundamentally feels that there's too much of a restriction on...
Did Kim say that to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you asked the question, do I think it's a publicity stunt? I think he, in his own mind, is authentically trying to make a point that I think he's making very, very badly. And I think he's making it in a way that makes it impossible for people to actually take what he's saying seriously. But I don't think that I don't think he's cooking up something in a laboratory to keep himself in the news. I think he actually believes that there is a suppression of thought, and he wants to be able to take whatever independent stand he wants to take, and that's what he's trying to do.
Pause it. We don't have to watch this full video or anything. They're just going to elaborate on how stupid he is or something. I mean, we've all heard it before. He's saying, oh, he's trying to make a point and he's doing it badly. I don't think he's doing it badly personally. That's just my personal opinion. But they're just going to be condescending. They're going to say he's stupid. They're going to say he's crazy. He keeps hearing shut up. That means there is an agenda. That means they are trying to keep him quiet. Well, and as I said, Don Lemon over and over and over, Kanye's so dumb, Kanye's so crazy. He can't stop. It's his favorite thing. Or I don't know, maybe he looks like he's getting tired of it. Does anyone feel sorry for Don Lemon? That poor, poor man. He couldn't get out of his seat to leave, so Kanye, as soon as he was free, he ran to his safe space. He ran to his echo chamber where everyone agrees with Don so that he could get off his chest. This guy's not saying what I say. He's dumb and crazy. Don Lemon was there. All this tension built up inside of him because Don Lemon knew that he told you that you needed to run up on stage and take Kanye's microphone and shut the cameras down. But Don Lemon sat in his little comfy chair and just tossed and turned, and he did not have the courage to run up on stage. Do you remember earlier? He said, we need to take those cameras and microphones away from Kanye. He couldn't do it. He was afraid. So now he goes on his show and he talks about how crazy, Kanye's crazy and stupid because I wasn't brave enough to take his microphone from him, which I told you to do. Don Lemon. Don Lemon. He's in pain and he's angry right now. He's angry and he has been demasculated. He's no longer a masculine man because you didn't listen to Don and take those microphones and cameras, and Don couldn't back that up. Don didn't go up on stage. So it's partially your fault because you made him show that he was, I don't know, just not man enough to do it. So Don's, he's upset, so he's got to lash out. So, because he didn't have the guts to go up on stage. Because I remember earlier he said, take the cameras, take the microphones. Don was sitting there, tossing and turning. Oh, why isn't anyone doing this? Why isn't anyone taking them? He didn't go up and take them. He's been demasculated. He is no longer a man. And that's one of the reasons why he's jealous of Kanye. Kanye's getting out there. He's saying what he's got to say. He's not listening to Don. You got to listen to Don. If you don't listen to Don, well, I don't know. It's called free thought, basically. Don Lemon is mad and jealous of Kanye because Kanye is a man of action. Kanye's going out there and he's expressing his independent thoughts that are different from Don Lemon's. Don Lemon is not a man of action. He's staying in his safe space echo chamber, regurgitating the same things about how Kanye's crazy because he's exercising his free speech and independent thought. That's a big problem for Don for some reason. Why is it a big problem for Don? This is the last video I have. It proves that Don Lemon is, he's got a thing against Kanye. It's weird. He's got like maybe a man crush or something. I don't know what it is, but he's obsessed. He's jealous, and it's weird. And let's roll it.
And so Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. And we have this now, and now Donald Trump is going to use it and pervert it, and he's going to have somebody who can stand with him and take pictures.
Just looking at Scott.
Boy, are they giddy. They said this is what happens when Negroes don't read. That's what they said. That's a quote. They're giddy about it now. I think that, what if it was somebody who wasn't African American? What if it was a white guy or something? They're making it about that. That's racism, you know? And they're overjoyed. What if, okay, see this guy all the way on the right or whatever, and he's smiling and everything, and he's white. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he would have said that? He'd probably be destroyed. So they get to say their racist stuff or whatever, and I don't know. It's old now. It's getting old because obviously they're just hate. Smug. These people are smug. And in all of the things that I've seen with Kanye, I don't see these sorts of personal attacks. I've seen Kanye rebuttal someone, some singer guy, and he uses logic and he's not personal. These weird, personal, mean, evil, racist, oh my gosh. Let's keep going, please.
Scott's like, whoa, okay. So
It's a Chris Rock reference, by the way, Scott.
All right, can we pause it?
Watch the old Chris Rock stand-ups from the night.
Okay, so she's saying it's a Chris Rock reference. So basically that means it's Chris Rock's joke. So they took Chris Rock's joke. This is what happens when, they don't read or whatever. They took Chris Rock's joke and they're getting so much pleasure for coming up with Chris Rock's joke. Basically, in the comedy world, that would be a hack. So these are hacks who are kind of patting each other on the back for regurgitating a joke from Chris Rock. So that's what's happening right now. All right, let's keep going.
maybe
I will look that up.
I know that. All right, listen. Maybe it'll work, Tara. Will it? I don't know.
Work for who? It's not going to work in the black community. Listen, black folks are about to trade Kanye West in the racial draft, okay? They've had it with him. He's not the same
Whoa.
Kanye.
I do know that reference. I know that that is an old Dave Chappelle skit. I know that one.
All right, let's pause it. Okay, that's an old Dave Chappelle. Oh my goodness, he couldn't be more happy with himself. That is a picture right there. I have never, it was like, look at him. He just got a puppy on Christmas. Wow. So they're saying that was a Dave Chappelle skit or whatever. Again, hacks, patting each other on the back. They couldn't come up with something like that. So they took Dave Chappelle's joke, they took Chris Rock's joke, and they're just rolling around all like in their own crazy. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's keep going, please.
All right, good. I'm 1 for 2. All right, keep going.
But no, seriously, I mean, this is not the Kanye West of 2004. This isn't the college dropout album guy.
Yeah.
This is not, and what's funny to me is to watch all of these white people behind Donald Trump clapping away at the name of Kanye West when it wasn't that long ago that Kanye West said that George W. Bush doesn't like black people.
Doesn't care.
After Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
And, Kanye, but now all of a sudden Kanye, because he's put on a MAGA hat and he's an attention whore like the president, he's all of a sudden now the model spokesperson. He's the token Negro of the Trump administration.
Can we pause it?
This is ridiculous.
If you know someone of another ethnicity or something along those lines, like another race or something, like if you have one friend who, let's say you have one friend, just one friend who's black, or one friend who's Chinese, or one friend who's whatever, if somebody says they're a token, yada yada, that's racist, that's hateful. Using the word token, they're saying that he's the president's token African-American friend or something like that. You don't call people tokens because they're people, they're human beings. Nobody's a token. That's not nice. It's hateful. It's just, and I'm saying that these people are jerks. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say they shouldn't be allowed to say whatever they're saying. I'm saying these people are showing you what a jerk looks like. They're cueing you in on it. So they're calling him a token black guy or whatever. That's not good. It's bad. And if you say that about people, you're saying a bad thing, you're doing a bad thing, you're probably a bad guy. I don't know. Just, it's rude, it's bad. Let's keep going.
And no one should be taking Kanye West seriously. He's clearly has issues. He's already been hospitalized. You know, not to trivialize mental health issues, but I mean, obviously Kanye has taken a turn in a very strange way. You read any of his interviews, go back and reread his interview with Charlamagne the God. It's all over the place. So this is not exactly the best representation, to Bakari's point, especially on an issue as important as prison reform. There's a lot of other people who are much more well-versed on this issue that are serious.
They love to mock Kanye. All these people do. Don Lemon specifically, he obviously has this internal hatred for Kanye. We've determined what it is. I judge you, Don Lemon, as jealous of Kanye, the man of action, the man who's telling people to use their own minds, formulate their own thoughts based on their own research, and they're saying that he's crazy and stupid and didn't read a book. There's no way he's ever read anything. You know, Kanye creates art. Kanye writes things. These people have other writers and things, and they're just regurgitating other people's jokes. That's stupid. It's pathetic, and it's weak. So yeah, this is Don Lemon. I'm judging Don Lemon as having some obsession with Kanye that's about jealousy. I think that's it. We're done. Thank you for watching Free Speech Northwest. Hey, I'm just gonna give a little shout out to my buddy Joey. Goes to school with my son Darian. Hi, Joey.